So inshallah, this afternoon I'm going to share with you all about table 4. All right, table 4, preparation of table 4 for ODL, because it is actually quite similar to the normal ODL, but the how we count the SLT will be a bit different, whereby the component of 80% of SLT should be looked at. All right, so before I open my slideshow, I would like to just, for in case you all haven't seen table 4 before, all right, this is table 4. You can actually download this table 4 from MQA website. Okay, I think that usually the pejabat quality will provide you with the table 4. Right, this is the table 4, whereby this is the responsibility of the coordinator of the course to fill in this particular table 4. Okay, so it is important that the lecturers know, okay, how to fill in this form and how to get your form being an ODL course 80% and above, as ODL, yeah. Like I mentioned earlier this morning, 80% of student SLT should be online. Okay, so you can see here there's a green box here, credit value. Actually, when you update all your SLT at the bottom, okay, the total SLT, actually when you got all this filled in, automatically this green box will show the credit value of the course. You cannot hear me. Can you all hear me?
Can.
Can. Okay. Dr. Yuhaida, you can't hear me. Maybe your line is something wrong with your line. I think maybe you should try.
Boleh.
Okay. All right.
Boleh, Dr. Azidah.
Okay, thank you. All right. So this is the table 4. However, I'm going to show you, describe more on table 4 in my slide first. But I show you this table 4 so that you have the idea on what I'm going to talk about in the slide. Okay, and also I have this particular document. All right. This is what the name of this particular document, and also Google, yeah. The latest one with green color, kalau yang tak latest 2011 orange color. This is a guidelines to good practices in assessment of student. Okay, so boleh Google dan cari guideline to good practices assessment of students. Yang paling awal, yang paling latest one is 2014. Ada yang sebelum ini 2011 with orange color background, okay, for the cover lah. Okay, so yang we are using now is the green color. Okay, this particular guidelines is not for ODL, it is assessment of student. However, it can guide you to produce good document for your MQA-01 as well as your table 4. You will be able to align your PEO, PLO and your CLO. Okay, so later on I'll show you. Okay, so all right, so in preparation of table 4, all right, for ODL, so you need to know certain things so that you will be able to actually fill in the table 4. I think that when I audited some institution SGPs, I found that some of the lecturers, they are not prepared to fill in the table 4 and they just include whatever they think is correct for table 4, okay, especially in terms of student learning time. All right, so this is the document that I show you earlier, guidelines to good practices, because when we talk about assessment, we are going to align the assessment, okay, with the PLO PEO, PLO, and CLO, because we in MQA the most important thing is constructive alignment between the learning outcomes as well as the student activity as well as the evaluation. Okay. All right, so first I would like to introduce outcome-based education. Why I am highlighting the OBE, outcome-based education, because when you fill in the table 4, you are going to actually specify the desirable outcomes of students, okay? I think that maybe if, let's say, a lecturer comes from School of Education, they have education background, they might be able to write the course learning outcome with no problems, because they have been actually go through the process of aligning the outcomes and so on. But sometimes when I audit programs from engineering, from health science, for example, because I am an ODL auditor, whereby I am auditing all the programs, okay, in terms of ODL. However, when I audit the ODL program, which is not under my specialties, I also look at their course learning outcomes to make sure that it is aligned with their LO, or their PLO, their CLO, and so on, as well as how they do the assignment. Okay, and I found that, sometimes the lecturers, they don't know what is OBE, okay, and then their course learning outcome are not measurable. It is important that the course learning outcomes are measurable so that we will be able to observe what students will be able to do at the end of the program, what they would be able to demonstrate upon participation in educational programs. So that's why the table 4, my introduction to table 4 this afternoon introduce you to OBE first, because OBE is the main things, the main outcome, the main component that we need to look at before we prepare our table 4. Okay, and then this desirable outcome ensure that students will become functional graduates. Okay, although they are they will be going through ODL program, the outcome will be the same as the students who has gone through the conventional program. So tak bolehlah dikatakan nanti mereka keluar dari ODL program and they are not up to the standard of conventional student. No, yeah. We should actually look at ODL graduates as the same quality as the conventional program. That's why we are looking at the OBE. Okay, and then in OBE, the assessment methods should be constructively aligned with the achievement of the LOs, which is course learning outcomes. So this is very important, whereby when auditor come and have a look at your program, okay, they will be able to see the constructive alignment between your PLO, CLO, and the assessment being done. Okay, in table 4, you are going to put in what are the assessment that is going, the major assessment, ya. Kita hanya tengok the assessment that will be counted in that particular course. You don't have to put the penilaian berterusan, continuous assessment. For example, if you have quiz and so on, it shouldn't be included in the table 4. But if you have your projects, your assignment, for example, you have project paper 1, you have presentation and so on, it should be included in table 4. So we are going to look at the table 4 in terms of what are the learning outcomes that you would like to achieve, and then we are going to check whether it is constructively aligned with your assessment. Okay, that's why we are looking at OBE. All right, so the OBE involves choosing assessment tasks or instruments that are constructively aligned with the attainment of the LO. Jadi, when I audited some of the institution, what happened in table 4 is some lecturers, they just put the assessment as assignment 1, assignment 2, then final exam. So that is not accepted. All right. So what types of assignment are you going to give to your students to actually make sure that their the learning outcomes can be achieved from that particular assessment? So remember, when you are looking at your table 4 later on, don't put assignment number 1, assignment number 2, but we are going to look at specific assignment that you are going to do to make sure that the learning objectives are achieved. All right, so this is a basic model of an aligned curriculum. Okay, so first, when you would like, for example, for this ODL program, you are going to use, you are going to develop a new program. So you need to actually form the intended learning outcomes of the curriculum. So you need, for your course, for example, you are a course coordinator, please make sure that the outcomes are formulated first. What do you would like to achieve, or what do your students will be able to achieve at the end of the course? Okay, so the outcomes are being formulated first. Then form assessment criteria from that particular outcomes. Okay, you remember earlier I said the course learning outcome should be measurable, meaning that if you say at the end of the course, student will be able to, okay, now I'm talking about a particular course. Let's say you have actually, you are looking at a course, and then you formulated your learning outcomes, and your learning outcome is, at the end of this course, students will be able to understand. So the word understand is not measurable. You cannot measure how your students understand a topic. So you might want to change the course learning outcomes to, at the end of the this course, students will be able to develop a concept or what, okay, something like that. They will be able to discuss, okay, that is measurable. Okay, so please refer to Bloom taxonomy, because I'm not going to just focus on how you write your course learning outcome, but in table 4 it should be highlighted later on. Okay, you are going to write, you are going to look at the table 4, you are going to put the course learning outcome. So when I audit, usually I am going to look at the course learning outcome, where although I'm not an expert in whatever particular program, I'm going to look at whether the course learning outcome are measurables, and whether it is aligned, they are aligned with the assessment that you provided for your students. Okay, so and then the assessment regime, once an appropriate assessment regime has been designed, after you have formulated the CLO, then you are going to form the assessment criteria. Sorry. Then you are going to design activities. Once once the appropriate you have actually developed your CLO, then you are going to create, you form your assessment, what assessment can be done, all right, to assess, to evaluate the course learning outcomes. and then you are going to actually design your activities. Okay, remember we are doing ODL now, so we are looking at activities, online activities that will teach the students how to meet the assessment criteria online. Okay, so it is important that your teaching and learning activities should align also with the assessment. So CLO goes to assessment, then from assessment you go back to teaching and learning activities. So this is very important for you to prepare before you fill in your table 4. Okay, and then this is the learning taxonomy relating the constructive alignment with the learning taxonomy. Okay, remember I mentioned just now your course learning outcomes should be measurable. Okay, so this is the Bloom taxonomy that we usually use to actually develop our course learning outcome, whereby if let's say you want to use in your current CLO, you put student will be able to understand something, then you can change the word understand to student will be able to define. Okay, and then if let's say you are going to do to actually look at much more higher level of taxonomy, you can use application student. At the end of the course, students will be able to demonstrate how to perform certain tasks, for example. Okay, so these are the example on how to use learning taxonomy. Here I have Bloom taxonomy, and then I have Big's proposed level of attainment, and then this is Biggs and Colley's solo taxonomy. All right, sometimes people would like to use a solo taxonomy rather than use Bloom taxonomy. Okay, later on I'll share this slide so that you can actually look at your course learning outcome and try to use most appropriate terms for the your CLO. Okay. All right. So let us go to page 11 on the guidelines. Okay, let me just go back to the guidelines that I shared earlier. Okay. So page it is page 11, but in this PDF it is in page 27 lah. Okay. All right, so it is page 11, page 11. All right, so you can refer to this page 11, table 2, on how this will refer back to MQA-01 this morning, whereby when, if let's say you have a new program, okay, for example, you are the program coordinator, you can actually refer to page 11, whereby it can help you, this page can help you to make sure that the constructive alignment of your PEO, PLO, and CLO. Okay, so there is a definition and example here. So if you are not sure, please refer to this page. For example, definition and example. So you have definition here. So your program educational objective should be a broad statement that describes the career and professional accomplishment of graduates within 5 years upon graduation. So this is very broad. For PEO, the statement will be very broad. You are looking at what your graduates will be after 5 years of graduation. So at the end, so after 5 years of graduation, what they will be. Okay, so this is a, for program educational objective, it is a broad statement. And then program learning outcomes, it is a much more smaller. Their abilities, which is consists of cognitive, psychomotor, and affective, that graduates should be able to demonstrate at the time of graduation. Okay, yang ini 5 years after graduation. This one, PLO, should be immediately after graduation, what they will be able to demonstrate when they finish the study in the program. And then course learning outcomes, this is the one that you are going to put in table 4. The course learning outcome consists of specific statements of what the learners are expected to achieve at the end of the course. Okay, much more smaller. Specific statement in the course, what they are able to actually achieve at the end of the course. For example, I'm teaching a course on ICT in education. So at the end of the course, I am expected that my students will be able to apply certain ICT concepts in their teaching and learning. For example, because I'm teaching ICT for pre-service teachers. So at the end of the course, students will be able to apply certain concepts of ICT in their teaching and learning. And then another course learning outcome will be at the end of this course, student will be able to develop a teaching plan based on an application they have been exposed during the course, something like that. All right, so meaning that it is very specific. All right, so if you refer to this page is quite good actually for you to actually start developing your PLO, PEO, PLO and CLO, because there is an example. Okay, this is the definition of what is PEO, PLO and CLO. Then they give us the example of statement. All right. So for example, for PEO, under the PEO, this is the broad statement, and then in 5 years, the students will be becoming IT instructors to apply fundamental knowledge and practical skills in providing service to the IT industry locally and globally. So this is what the program, for example, this is an IT program, so that this is the 5 years projection of that particular program. So they are going to produce an ICT instructors. And then for the PLO, at the end of the program, students should be able to apply mathematics and science concepts, principles and theories, and laws essential to IT. Okay, and then perform algorithm programming, diagnostic procedures essential to IT. So these are the PLO, okay, immediately after they graduated. And then this is for course learning outcome. So explain, differentiation and integrates, okay, at the end of the course. So you can refer to this page 11 and page 12, okay, so that you will be able to understand or correctly do your table 4, okay, and align, do constructive alignment for your MQA-01. Okay, so these are examples of statement which is within the effective domain, how they write it. All right, and then these are examples of assessment and methods, okay, outcomes. For example, for 5 years PEO, you are going to do alumni survey, alumni interview, employer surveys, and so on. All right, and then for PLO, you are going to give the graduates entrance survey, exit interviews, and so on. All right, so this will be included in your MQA-01. And this, the last column here is related to CLO. So test, project, reports, oral, presentation, and so on, course learning outcomes. These need to be included in table 4. As I mentioned earlier, you cannot just put assignment 1, assignment 2 in your table 4, but you must include specific assignment that students need to do to achieve the course learning outcome. For example, they have to develop a portfolio or journals or critiques and so on. So these need to be included in table 4. Okay, so please do refer to this document so that you will be able to do the constructive alignment for your course. Okay, and this will help you actually to do the MQA-01 as well as table 4. Okay. All right, so whatever it is, whether it is an ODL program or you are doing the conventional program, students are our focus. Okay, we are looking at providing the best learning environment for our student. Okay, so when we are talking about program learning outcomes, we are starting with a clear picture of what is important for students to be able to do. That is what is the meaning of competency. So what competency that you want your students to be able to do at the end of the programs. Okay, so we have, like I mentioned just now, cognitive domain, affective domain, and psychomotor domain. Maybe your course, especially if you are doing engineering, for example, or health science, for example, the psychomotor domain might be the dominant domain in your program. Okay, don't worry about having all cognitive domain. Yang ini adalah satu masalah yang sangat biasa that I encounter during audit, whereby all course learning outcomes, okay, mentioned in the table 4 of the program, the courses, okay, kebanyakannya tulis cognitive domain semata-mata. They are not doing the affective domain, then they are not putting in psychomotor domain. Okay, padahal the course are mostly affective, tak banyak pun cognitive domain. Alright, what I would like to highlight here is when you talk about cognitive domain, affective domain, and psychomotor domain, each of these domain kita akan evaluate, kita akan assess using different types of assessment. Okay, kalau nak evaluate dia psychomotor domain, takkan you nak evaluate them using final exam. Okay, so biasanya final exam we are going to look at cognitive domain. Okay, yang mana dominant, sangat dominant untuk that particular course learning outcomes. If let's say you would like to actually evaluate their cognitive domain, then the way you assess that is using examination. Okay, final exam. But if let's say you would like to see a student communication skill, student will be able to actually deliver something, okay, develop something, you might want to look at psychomotor domain. Jadi bila you ada psychomotor CLO, that course learning outcomes that covers the psychomotor domain, maka in your table 4, it is not supposed to be final exam. Okay, you might want to have presentation, you might want to have simulation, you might want to have whatever that requires student to show their psychomotor skill. Okay, yang ini yang selalu masalah besar when I audit. I see that most 100%, sometimes 95%, okay, all the course learning outcomes semuanya cognitive domain, semuanya ikut Bloom taxonomy. Let me go back. This one. Alright. Semua ikut Bloom taxonomy. Bloom is doing the Bloom taxonomy mostly about cognitive domain. Okay. Jadi semua buat Bloom taxonomy dan semuanya akan pergi kepada cognitive domain. Alright. So please do actually look at your course learning outcome and then align it with your assessment so that you will know whether you are writing your course learning outcome that align with your assessment. Okay. Kemudian, when you have decided this, then you are going to go to the assessment here. From here, you go here, assessment, whether you are going to have face-to-face assessment. Remember, I mentioned this morning that from the 80% of the SLT, another 20% can be done face to face, walaupun this is an ODL program. Okay, you can have 20%. So if you would like to do a final exam face to face, it is not wrong. Yeah, you can do that. Okay, and then you will have on face to face, for example, around 20% of your SLT, and then you would like to do online assessment and others. This is within this assessment. And then if you, from course learning outcomes to assessment, then you need to organize the curriculum, the instruction, the assessment to make sure that learning ultimately happens. Meaning that after you have known your course learning outcomes, you have designed your assessment, then you will organize your curriculum and then design your teaching and learning activities. Okay, that's why when I do my trainings, okay, the SIM will be the final slot of my trainings. First, I do MQA-01 and then I do the table 4. Then I'll focus on the teaching learning activities, which is the SIM. All right, so because this is the way how we should actually design our program. So although this is for ODL, for conventional also like this, meaning that the way we design the new curriculum, new program should be like this. We start from course learning outcome and then we are looking at the face-to-face as well as at the end, we are going to design the teaching and learning activities, then it will go back to the course learning outcome. Anything, students are the focus. Okay, so I hope that that is clear on how you are going to design your program so that it will also be easier for your students, for you to actually fill in the table 4. Kadang-kadang pensyarah kata susah nak isi table 4 disebabkan oleh perkara ni. Actually, when you are clear about your course learning outcomes and assessment and teaching and learning activities, it won't be hard anymore for you to calculate the student learning time. Okay, it will lead to student learning time. Remember, if you have a 3 credit course, the student learning time will be 122 hours. If you have 4 credits, then it will be 160. Okay, and if you have 2 credits, 80. Okay, 80 hours. All right. Okay, so what is student learning time? Student learning time, sometimes pensyarah pun dia tak pasti ya, apa sebenarnya yang dikatakan student learning time ni. Sometimes, you know, they are not sure what is student learning time. So, student learning time is time that students spend for learning, teaching and assessment activity. So, this is a combination. The SLT is combination of time that students spend for learning, satu dia belajar, and then go through the teaching with the lecturers, and then assessment activities. Okay, so we have contact learning time, maksudnya if you have a synchronous class, then for example macam hari ni saya sepatutnya ada kelas, I should have class this morning 9 to 11 a.m. So it was 2 hours, that is contact learning time. And then independent learning or preparation time. For example, before I conduct my class at 9 to 11 a.m., I actually posted in the e-learn some activities, some review that students should be able, watch or do before the class start. So it is the independent learning or preparation time. And then also we have assessment time, the time allocated for the students to prepare for assessment as well as for the the assessment, doing the assessment. Okay, meaning that if you have final exam, 2 hours for final exam. If let's say you have presentation for your students, so how many, what are the time or the minutes that they are going to actually go through the assessment. Okay, so these need to be counted. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so what you need to do before you prepare your table 4 is you need to list out the teaching and learning activities. All right. Assessment by learning outcome based on BPK. I don't know whether you have BPK or not, but in USM we have borang penawaran kursus. Okay, borang penawaran kursus is BPK, meaning that if you have like whatever panduan, okay, guidelines for you that UNIMAS already actually macam kami ada borang penerangan khusus, kita letaklah what is the rancangan and so on, what are the course learning outcome and so on. So you need to have that so that you can list out the teaching and learning activities and assessment, also the topics and so on that will be that is going to help you to actually fill in the table 4. Okay, so remember cognitive, psychomotor and affective, not only cognitive. Yeah, I would like to remind again and again because I always see that all course learning outcome actually refers to cognitive. We all usually forget about psychomotor and affective domain.
Doktor,
Yes, saya.
yang tadi, yang slide tadi tu yang berkaitan dengan list out the teaching and learning activity, adakah dalam erti kata yang lain adalah course plan?
Yes, lebih kurang macam course plan lah.
Okay.
Lebih kurang macam course plan. Alright, so yang ini saya tunjukkan contoh. This is the contoh. Alright, this is our BPK in USM lah. Okay, meaning that yang ini contoh in our USM assessment guideline, whereby we have the BPK. Contohnya dalam the BPK, borang penawaran khusus, we have how many % of our exam. Okay, 40%. Kerja khusus, the coursework will be 60%. Alright, and then we have this asas penilaian kerja khusus, whereby we have assignment, the code is 03 and tugasan assignment is 10%. We have ujian, test, 20%. And then we have laporan, report, 20% and so on. Alright, so meaning that the total 2010, this is 30%, 30% equal to coursework, 60%, and then we have 40%. All right, this is an example lah. If let's say you have BPK in UNIMAS, but if you have what we call lesson plan or topics and so on, should be okay. All right, so meaning that you have this and then you will transfer this information to the table 4 later on. Okay, and we have also the tujuan and hasil pembelajaran khusus. This is based on our BPK lah, USM BPK. So we have the purpose of the course, all right. So meaning that the description of the course, this is the course learning outcomes, whereby we have at the end of the course, student will be able to construct stable domain, learning model, learning theory, and so on. All right, we have PO1. PO1 is program learning outcome 1, PO1. All right, yes, PO, and then we have learning taxonomy. We have social skill. Okay, this is based on USM. So, for example, I would like to actually highlight. You can see that the learning taxonomy, when we refer, we have C3. Okay, we have P3 and we have A3. This is cognitive, this is psychomotor, this is affective. All right, this is social skill, TS3, and then we have CTPS3. Okay, this is depends on your institution punya SS lah. However, kalau I have audited certain certain institution, they have their own. For example, Taylor's University, memang dia ada Taylor's punya certain skill yang they will be looking at. So maybe dia punya SS will be different lah. Okay, sebab dia ada certain yang institutional punya skill yang mereka ingin capai, which is not wrong. Okay, so it is okay based on the institutional punya requirement. Alright, for example, okay, construct suitable domain learning model and so on. Alright, so the kaedah penilaian, the assessment method is 0, 3 and 13. So let me just go back. Okay, so 0, 3 is 0, 3 is cognitive just now, and then 13 is ujian. Okay, so meaning that you can see that these course learning outcomes will be actually evaluated by 0, 3 and 13. Okay, for example, develop and manage learning tools that can be suited with learning instruction that can promote online learning, for example. So this is psychomotor. Then the kaedah penilaian assessment method 37. So if you go back, 37 is laporan, report. Okay, the course required for a report to be done. All right, and then they have this demonstrate online presentation. Okay, then it is 53. Okay, so 53 will be pembentangan presentation. Okay, so this is how actually we decide on the kaedah penilaian, the evaluation methods. Okay, let me see. Is there any guideline on how to allocate time for face-to-face and non-face-to-face? Okay, for ODL biasanya tak ada sebab there's no guideline because you need to make sure that 80% of the SLT is online. Okay, meaning that it should be done online. But for blended, okay, for conventional courses, you can actually refer to the JPT MIPTA punya blended learning guidelines, whereby ada certain times for face-to-face and certain time for online, for non-face-to-face. Kalau for conventional, memang you boleh refer to MIPTA punya guidelines. Okay, if let's say you are doing blended learning in the conventional classroom, meaning that your face-to-face should be sekejap, nak ingat. Okay, so for ODL it is 80% and above, so you kena kira lah macam tu. And then for blended learning it is from 30% to 79% online. Okay, jadi kalau face-to-face your online portion under 30%, you are doing conventional, not blended learning lah, macam tu. So you can refer to blended learning guidelines. Boleh Google, ianya ada di internet lah. Sekarang ni dia dah keluar. So you can refer to that for conventional, for blended class, also for ODL lah. ODL is mostly kalau you punya time memang SLT dia mesti lebih daripada 80%. Macam tu. Alright, so nanti
Azidah,
kalau you isi, ya saya.
ada soalan daripada partisipan ni. Kiranya soalan yang ditanya ini telah dijawab oleh Dr. Azidah ya. Yang allocate time for face-to-face and non-face-to-face tersebut. Alright,
Ya, betul.
okay.
Alright. Yang inilah yang sedang saya jawab. Alright.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
so meaning that, yeah. So boleh refer kepada guidelines blended learning tu lah. Tetapi basically for ODL mesti 80%. Tak kira lah macam mana you buat, it should be 80% and above for a course. Semuanya kena online. Alright. Okay. This is MQF 2.0 competency. Okay, so you can see that when we have lower order and then we have higher order, alright, for learning domains. So nanti saya akan share this slide so that you will be able to actually when you develop your course learning outcomes, you will be able to actually put this as your course learning outcomes lah. Okay, kalau kita lihat pada kognitif, first lower order will be remembering and understanding C1, C2, C3, C4. Yang ini semua perlu diletak dalam table 4 nanti. Alright, macam yang saya mention earlier lah, ada A2, A5 dan sebagainya. And then for effective receiving A1, it is from Craftswell 1964. We have lower order responding. Kalau kita tanya dia berjawab, that's mean they are responding. And then valuing, okay, yang atas ini C3, A3 and P3 and above until P7 for psychomotor. These are higher order learning domains. Okay, meaning that, all right, if let's say you have a program whereby you are looking at master's program, okay, master's program, kadang-kadang kita silap faham bahawasanya semuanya perlu higher order thinking skill. Alright, sama jugalah macam we are referring to sekarang ni kejadian di sekolah-sekolah. We can see that the curriculum is sebab dia kata HOTS kan. HOTS dan soalan pelajar-pelajar tahun 3, tahun 4, it is very hard because they try to make it HOTS. Okay, sebenarnya tidak sedemikian. When we look at higher order thinking skill, it is actually based on the level of the program. Okay, in a master program mungkin ada juga lower order thinking skill. Tak semestinya in master program you have everything creating, everything internalization value, organization and so on. Tidak semestinya. If you are in the first year of masters, you can actually give them some understanding about a topic and so on. It is not wrong to have lower order thinking skill. Okay, mungkin at the beginning of the semester you are going to introduce your students to something, then they will be on the lower order learning domains. However, if let's say at the end of the semester you can actually, the CLO will be much more higher order. So that's why kita bila you are tulis CLO 1, CLO 2, CLO 3, jangan ada pula CLO sampai 5, 6. Okay, usually we have only 3 to 4, 5 sometimes we accept, but usually 3 or 4 CLO for a course. Okay, tidak terlalu banyak. Sebab kalau you ada CLO terlalu banyak, then you will have to actually design your course dengan aktiviti yang bermacam-macam, assessment yang bermacam-macam. Alright, so usually we have 3 or 4 learning outcomes only. Okay, so meaning that tak semestinya semua higher order domain. Okay, so factors in calculating SLT or credit. Okay, I put here face-to-face guided learning time plus virtual or physical synchronous, although this is ODL kan. Remember this morning I said, okay, dalam ODL, in ODL program 60% of the course, okay, can be online, then you can have another 40% not online. Okay, remember 60% of the course and then 80% of the SLT. SLT dalam khusus course dalam program. Okay, yang ini yang selalu orang confuse. Nanti dia kata, 60% kah itu cakap? 60% of the program but 80% of the course. Okay. Okay, so it is face-to-face and guided learning, virtual or physical or synchronous. Then student self-learning time, okay, they learn by themselves, okay. Asynchronous learning masuk dalam student self-learning time, okay. Ianya bukan guided, alright. Kalau kita tengok di sini face-to-face or guided learning time, it is virtual or physical and it is considered synchronous. Tetapi kalau student learning time, self-learning time, it is asynchronous and it can also be informal. Yang ini yang selalu jadi confusion bila isi table 4. Dia kata saya buat asynchronous, kenapa ianya bukan guided learning? No, it is not guided. You just prepare the materials and your student will actually look at, they are going to look at the materials, the theme, informally and asynchronously, okay. And then plus total assessment time, okay. Jadi this one, number 1 and number 2, face-to-face and student self-learning, this is teaching and learning activities, okay. If let's say you are doing 3 credit course, okay, course 3 kredit, di mana jumlah kredit jumlah SLT adalah 120, maka your face-to-face and student self-learning ini should be 120, 80, alright, 80 hours synchronous and asynchronous. Number 1, number 1 and number 2 should be 80 hours. And then the rest should be assessment time, 40 hours. 80 plus 40 will be 120. Jadi when we audited, when we audit the course, a program, for example, sometimes, you know, pensyarah, they don't know how to count this, and then sometimes the teaching and learning, the number 1 and number 2 will be like so little, meaning they have like 50 only for teaching and learning, and then assessment time they have longer. Alright, no, it should be kalau 3 credit 80 and 40. Okay, lebih kurang lah. Kadang-kadang lebih 1 jam, kurang 1 jam should be okay lah. Tapi kalau terlalu banyak sangat perbezaan time tersebut, ianya akan menjadi agak maksudnya salah lah. Okay, so we should give time for students to actually do the teaching and learning, and assessment is like 40% of the 40 hours of the 120 credits for 3 credit hour. Okay. Okay. So this is a contoh. Alright. This is a course. This is not my course, but we actually discussed this in USM about the course in our USM assessment guideline. Alright. So this is the one that I showed earlier. Alright. We have PO1, PO1, PO8, and PO2, and then we have the cognitive. Alright. So you can see here, we have the course learning outcomes. Alright, in here it is application. Alright, in Bloom taxonomy just now. Alright, cognitive. Alright, and then for P3 it is guided response, and then for A3 effective it is value. Okay, so refer to the learning domain. Okay, and then in this particular course, they have 40% final examination. Remember, if you say final examination, it will be testing your students' cognitive domain. Okay, psychomotor and affective is not being tested using final examination. So the essay final examination will be C3. Okay, so it is cognitive. All right. Okay, so this particular CLO, okay, refer to examination here. Okay, so maybe the essay question will ask students about their understanding about what is how to apply a certain theory and model to the application of mobile learning, e-learning, and so on. All right. So here we have coursework 60%, task 10%, test 20%. All right, this is cognitive. We have report 20%. We have presentation E3 for 10%. All right, so mostly in this course, it is about cognitive domain. Okay. All right. So and then this is from our BPK as well, borang pendabaran khusus. Okay, so this is not an ODL, but this is sebagai guidelines lah for you to actually recognize what is your SLT. We have student-centered learning, okay, not tidak bersemuka, non-face-to-face, and then we have pembelajaran terarahkan diri, student-directed learning, alright, seperti manual, projek, tugasan, and so on. Alright, so this is actually the list that I mentioned earlier. You have a list of what you are going to do, how many what are the SLT for each project, their coursework, and so on. You can put it in your list so that it will be easier for you when you actually fill in the table 4. Alright, so for example, they have the presentation. Alright, the presentation itself, pembentangan 2 kali 3 jam, 6 hours, and then persembahan 2. Okay, yang ini maybe according to the course lah, what you are going to do lah. Sorry. Okay, and then this is much more apa kata detail. Alright, in SLT, for example, you have final exam 40%. So the assessment time ni adalah waktu, the time that students will be doing the exam, it is 2 hours. And then for 2-hour exam, the preparation time will be 8 hours. Okay, sorry. 8 hours, and then so the total SLT for final examination will be 10 hours. Okay, so and then coursework 60%, task 1, okay, will be dia punya assessment time will be 2 hours, and then preparation time 6 hours, and the total for task is 8 hours. Okay, total preparation and the assessment time. Alright, for test, they have only 7 hours, and so on. Alright, so this is how we try to actually bahagikan masa for the actual activity itself as well as the preparation time. Okay, for example, they have 2 hours of assessment time, and then they are the student prepare 6 hours. Alright, so and then the assessment time 6 hours total, and then total preparation time 34 hours. And then the total SLT for this particular course is 40 hours. This is for only assessment. Okay, remember just now I said if a course is 3 credit course, the assessment hours should be around 40 hours lah. Kalau dapat 40 hours cantik-cantik should be good. Alright, so jangan sampai when you do this, your total of SLT sampai 50 hours, it is too much. Okay, if 60 hours, saya pernah jumpa ya, sampai 60 jam for the assessment, which is not suitable for the course. Okay, kalau 3 credit, 40 hours. Okay, weightage of, for example, weightage of assessment SLT, more contoh lah ya, more samples. Alright, so this is the one that I mentioned just now. Okay, jadi assessment will be the evidence of learning attainment. So it can be direct and it can be indirect, meaning that the direct one is, you know, when you actually do the assessment where the students do the assessment, and indirect whereby we can observe whatever they do, their preparation and so on. Okay, so for example, for direct assessment that demonstrate learning, so it is observable, meaning that when you can observe your students, so you will be able to directly know that they are evidence of they achieve this course learning outcome. And then indirect assessment, that this prescribed learning. Okay, unobserved, but you can achieve that from, for example, examination, from the task, from the assignment, and so on. Alright, so this is the example. Kalau direct assessment, it is online oral examination, for example, interview, viva, or online presentation, finally a project, or 360 assessment by the supervisor or lecturer or peer, kan? You have heard of 360 assessment, whereby you ask the student's friend, okay, to do the assessment for the student. Alright, these are the direct example for direct assessment. And then we have indirect, okay, online quiz, project assignment, project report, pre-recorded video, and so on, e-portfolio. Meaning that, alright, why I'm sharing this with you all, because usually when lecturers do the table 4, they just don't do this. They are not looking at the types of assessment. They are looking based on the course learning outcome. Semua main letak saja nak buat project assignment, tetapi how it will actually answer, let us know that the course learning outcome has been achieved by the student is not clear. Okay, that's why we have table 4. All right, so you can download your table 4 from the MQA punya website. Alright, so you can just go to mqa.government and you can actually Google je. Alright, so it is somewhere here. Alright. Okay, so mungkin ada yang baru kalau saya tak perasan, but you can actually download this lah in the Excel file, the one that I shared earlier in the afternoon session. Okay, you can download and have a look. Okay, boleh try juga. Okay, so this is SLT for ODL, yeah. Sorry. Okay. Okay. So when you see the SLT for ODL, the green one that I showed you earlier, all right, later on we are going to just try to put the SLT. Let's say, okay, you can see that SLT for assessment 36, okay, in here subtotal 15, nanti saya tunjuk yang sebenarnya lah, but this one yang penting sekali adalah to see the SLT for online and independent learning component. Bila you kira yang belah atas, you will be able to see that this one should be more than 80%. Okay, kalau tak sampai 80% here, for example, you got, when you calculate, it will be like 75, your course is not an ODL course. Remember, your SLT should be 80% and above for SLT for online and independent learning component. Alright, so yang ini yang sangat penting, SLT for ODL. Alright, and then the distribution of student learning time pun kena kira dengan betul. Alright, so that the SLT, for example, you need to put the course content outline and subtopics, week 1, week 2, week 3, or topic 1, topic 2, and topic 3. Okay, you have physical, you have online components as we are doing the ODL program, so you might have less. Okay, very, very less physical, face-to-face, but you are going to have online or technology mediated face-to-face, meaning that using WebEx, using Zoom, and so on, you are going to actually put this part much more compared to physical. Mungkin tak ada pun physical. Biasanya in an ODL kita susah nak jumpa the physical face-to-face lah. Okay, and then we will have non-F2F. Termasuklah asynchronous learning, independent learning. So mostly these are the distribution SLT for teaching and learning for ODL. Okay, for ODL. Alright, so then we will have formula for assessment SLT. Okay, tadi when I show you this one, okay, biasanya usually people will put like, you know, exact time for the SLT, meaning that, okay, kalau biasanya roughly we say that if your assessment time is 2 hours, okay, then your preparation time will be 8 hours. You can refer to the green cover just now, the good practices, okay, for MQA, okay, guidelines for good practices for assessment. Kat situ ada tulislah. However, the one that I'm going to show you, this is actually that will make sure that your calculation for SLT will be much more betul lah, okay, much more tepat, so that you will be able to agak-agak bahawasanya your dan face to face ini adalah betul. Contohnya lah, you have assignment 20%. Okay, assignment 20%. So when you have assignment, you don't have face to face physical because your students will be doing the assignment by themselves at home. Alright? And then you are going to have face to face online. Okay, jadi mungkin you tak ada assignment pun, you tak jumpa student you face to face to be doing the assignment. Jadi, so you don't have face to face physical, you don't have face to face online. So this is the formula that you need to put in your table 4 so that you will be able to count, all right, your non-face to face. Later on we show, for example, a 3 credit course, total learning teaching activities, you buat 84. So within 84 should be okay lah. Jangan sampai 90, jangan terlalu banyak lebih daripada 80 hours. For example, you have total learning and teaching activities 79. Yang tu tak berdosa lagi lah. Should be okay. Kurang sikit atau lebih 84 should be okay. Jangan terlalu banyak dia punya apa orang kata terlebih atau terkurang for the teaching and learning activities. Around that this 80 to 84 should be okay. Alright. So you have the total learning and teaching activities 84. Alright. Kalau you are perasan, I put it as learning and teaching activities sebab we are doing ODL, we are looking at independent learning, so we are looking at students learning more than the teaching activities. You teach less, but students learn independently. So the learning and teaching activities is 84 hours, and then so you have the formula here, 20 comes from here out of 100% of the assessment. This is times dalam Excel, and then you will have 120 total credit hour tolak the 84 hours. Okay, this is the formula. Okay, nanti kalau dia dapat nombor-nombor yang tidak nombor bulat, then you can actually tukar kepada nombor bulat lah supaya you punya time will be not lari. Kadang-kadang you can see when I go to audit, sometimes dia letak dia punya assignment 20% tetapi the component that have less, for example article review 10% ni, tetapi masa untuk the 10% is much more than the 20% punya masa. So that's why we have this formula so that you will make sure that when the assessment is 20%, it will be masa yang diperuntukkan untuk menyediakan this assignment adalah lebih kurang sesuai lah, adalah suitable, it should be suitable for the 20%. Jadi maksudnya nanti this particular non face to face berbanding dengan 10%, berbanding dengan 20%, this should be less time lah SLT dia kan, begitu. Alright, so for example presentation, when you have presentation you might have face to face online. Ini kira untuk one student, ya, the SLT is for one student, so meaning that you have presentation 20%, you don't have face to face physical but you have face to face online, then the pengiraan is something like this, similar, but you have the face to face online, so the non face to face should tolak 0.5. You should tolak 0.5 hours lah. Sama juga untuk quiz, for example, they are going to do face to face quiz for 1 hour, so meaning that you have counted 10% out of 100 times 120, tolak 84, then tolak sejam. Alright, so this is the formula that we are going to put in the table 4. Okay, so to make sure that the calculation for your table 4 will be much better lah, tak ada yang terlebih non face to face and so on. Belum habis, cuma saya habis dengan slide because I'm going to open the SF, right? Alright, so this is the table 4. Okay, hopefully some of you or all of you have actually been looking ataupun pernah melihat lah. You have look at pernah buat, kalau tak pernah buat pun pernah tengok this particular document. Alright, so in this, but this is a very important document, meaning that each of the lecturers, each of the course coordinator will actually use this particular table 4, and this should be included when the institution send their MQA-01. Mesti ada setiap khusus. Each of the course need to submit this table 4. Alright. For example, when we buat the course table 4, okay, I just type in so that, okay. Let me just open another one, all right? So that this one is the main table 4 in my computer. Let me just open one so that, all right. This is an actual table 4 that has been submitted to me, ya. Jangan tunggu dia buka saya. Okay, so this is one example yang telah dibuat oleh certain course lah. Okay, jadi dia ada, the course name is this one. Alright, Hotel Brand Management, ODL, and then they have this course code. Alright, sepatutnya kena isi lah. Okay, and then dia cakap the course clarification. When you see the course clarification, you boleh click. You can click here, and then for example, if it is a compulsory course, you put this as compulsory. Okay, so you can see you can actually choose. Yang ini memang tak boleh ubah. You cannot change this. So if it is a minor, then you put minor and so on. Alright. Then you have the synopsis. Okay, remember when you type, I think that you know most of you already have the synopsis of your course. You might want to change and so on, but please remember that you will actually providing the synopsis to people who are going to learn about this subject, right, this course. So you will be able to actually give an overview to your students lah. Okay, for example, and then let's say you have 2 academic staff, meaning that 2 people teaching this one, you need to put the names, both names lah. All right, and then this is the usual year offer, semester what, all right, and then please just leave this one, all right? Because this one is an existing, so it has the 4 credits. However, if you are starting a new course, okay, just leave it. It will be automatically updated later on. Okay, let us see the CLO1, CLO2, and CLO3. The first CLO, okay, the first CLO is critique and evaluate various distribution channel and so on lah. I pun tak apa orang kata, tak well versed tentang this one, alright. And then evaluate opinions and make decision on the whatever, and then take the initiative and discover new ways of both management and guests. Okay, so this is hotel management. Okay, so you are the expert. You should know. Go back to the slide of this one, this slide. Okay, so in each of this domain, actually there are some verbs that related to the learning domains, cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. And then I think that your pejabat kualiti would be able to actually give you the list of verbs that you can use that can be related to the table 4. Make sure that when you, but for me, my comment for this course is you have critique and evaluate, but this is a master's course, should be okay. But everything, is really higher order. However, you can see that you offered semester 1, year offered year 1, but the semester is semester 3. Then should be quite okay lah kan, kalau it is year offered 1, semester 1, and everything you need students to do higher order thinking skill, you might be like, it's too much. Maybe one CLO should be much more lower order. They will be able to do what? Describe what? Okay, because critique and evaluate is very higher order. For CLO1, you might consider maybe analyzing, for example, okay, analyzing or organizing, not immediately in your CLO, you start with a critique and evaluate. All right, so meaning that the CLO will actually start from easy to much more comprehensive. So tak adalah start CLO 1 dengan yang susah dulu dan sebagainya lah. It is much better like that. All right, okay. Then you have in the table 4, you will have mapping the course learning outcomes to program learning outcomes. Okay, teaching methods and assessment methods. So let us see CLO1. Okay, so CLO1 is mapped to PLO2. So please refer to your UNIMAS punya or no program learning outcome. It is your program learning outcome. It is not PEO. It is your program learning outcome. So CLO1 is mapped to, for example, to PLO2, CLO2. So yang ini sebenarnya, this is the responsibility of the course coordinator, ya. Sebab sometimes course coordinator pun dia tak well versed on the PLO semua-semua ni. So program coordinator should actually advise dulu, okay, berbincang dalam komiti the program, and then you establish the PLOs for your program, and then the course coordinator will actually map this out. Okay, kadang-kadang course coordinator pun dia buat CLO dulu without looking at the PLO. Sebenarnya program learning outcome yang akan muncul dulu, then barulah the course learning outcome. That's why when you do the other way around, bila nak isi mapping, tiba-tiba if let's say you have a master in business administration, you will found that sometimes the PLO, katalah ada 11 ni, ada satu PLO yang tak ada course yang akan map. Okay, tiba-tiba tengok ada satu lompong di sini. There's a gaps because you tak tengok PLO before you buat the CLO. Okay, yang ni nampak macam technical lah, tetapi it makes sense sebenarnya bila you buat the program from top, you buat program learning outcomes dulu, then you go to the micro level which is the CLO. Okay, and then yang ni yang saya tak suka. Sebagai auditor saya tak suka. I don't like to see actually, alright, because this is not clear. Okay, teaching methods, online synchronous mode, online asynchronous mode. Okay, semua sekali untuk CLO ini, online teaching methods dia sebegini. And then when we are looking at the assessment method, we are looking at formative assessment, formative assessment, formative assessment. What types of formative assessment need to be clarified, meaning that what type, katalah you ada a simulation, for example, okay, nak CLO 1, contohnya nak critique, okay, something. So you might want to do a simulation to assess CLO1. Maksudnya nak bagi student to critique, you must give some scenario and then student will present and critique that particular based on that particular scenario. So mungkin di sini it is a simulation. Pelan tukar. Okay, so okay, tak apalah, nanti just for your information lah nanti, meaning that your assessment method should be very specific, okay, dalam table 4. Alright. Then you need to map the MQF cluster of learning outcomes. Kita ada this one. This is provided for you, okay, dalam table 4. So you need to map your CLO with this particular knowledge and understanding, cognitive skill and so on, and you fill in the form lah based on the PLO. Tengok ya, the mapping dia. Alright.
Doktor.
Yes.
Saya nak bertanya berkaitan dengan assessment tadi tu, yang yang dekat sana, dekat sini dia kata formative assessment dan sebagainya kan. Dekat sini perlukah kita mention clearly, macam kalau kita buat case study kita kena mention case study?
Ya,
perlu. So tapi saya wonder juga sebab yang ini adalah dokumen yang kita akan hantar ke MQA.
Yep.
Dan let's say yang pensyarah yang buat tu adalah mungkin dia menggunakan approach itu. Okay, tapi sekiranya pada masa akan datang ada pensyarah baru yang take over the course, dia menggunakan metod yang berlainan. So
tak apa.
Tak apa.
Boleh ubah.
Boleh ubah. Maksudnya adakah kita boleh simply ubah macam tu saja ke? Ataupun
begini, sebab kita dalam institusi kita dibenarkan ubah. Table 4 ini kita hantar first for provisional accreditation kan. Tetapi dalam proses tersebut mungkin kita jumpa bahawasanya ada kaedah lain yang boleh lebih baik, for example for the assessment. So we can change sebab kita boleh kalau tak silap saya ini sebab 30%. 30% kalau kita ubah, for example kalau dalam PTJ program, you akan maklumkan bahawasanya dalam table you on, dalam peringkat PTJ saja, you don't need to go to senat and so on, you just inform in your PTJ bahawasanya you have, for example lah kan, untuk CLO 1 you nak tukar jadi case study. Alright, so you nak tukar pada case study, then you just inform if it is less than 30%. Kalau tak silap, saya pun tak berapa tahu. Less than 30% you change, then should be okay. Tak ada masalah. So if let's say you memang revamp, for example, selalunya apa yang terjadi adalah topik ni dia banyak tukar dan sebagainya kan. Then yang itu perlu dibawa masuk lah. Kalau setakat sikit-sikit that you tukar less than 30%, then should be okay lah, tak ada masalah pun kalau you tukar dalam this table 4 gitu.
Kalau let's say kita kekal yang menggunakan formative assessment tu, tapi kita lampirkan sekali dengan course plan. Kalau kalau dekat UNIMAS, course plan ianya mungkin akan berubah setiap semester bergantung kepada pendekatan pensyarah. Okay? So boleh tak kita menggunakan keadaan macam tu? Maksudnya dalam course plan tu memang kita akan buat sedetail habis.
Tapi course plan itu tidak akan dihantar kepada MQA. Tetapi boleh juga kalau you nak buat macam tu, sebab dekat bawah ni, remember tak sampai lagi bawah, tetapi bawah ni ada assessment ni. Continuous assessment and then final assessment. Yang ni boleh detail pun boleh di sini. Alright, kalau you want to put it as a formative assessment dekat sini, tetapi you di sini wajib lah at the bottom here need to be very detailed.
I see.
Okay, begitu. So,
okay, terima kasih.
Dekat sini. Alright. Okay, so yeah. So kita sampai kat sini. So yang ini boleh pensyarah tulis lah whatever cognitive skill, personal skill yang you nak letak. Okay, if ada lah, if applicable. So this is not wajib. Alright. So let us see number 10. Distribution of student learning time. Yang inilah yang saya cakap tadi that I mentioned earlier, that if let's say you have a yang you tengok ya, this course is 4 credits kan, dia kata it is 4 credit. So kalau ianya 4 credits, meaning that the total SLT for assessment, for teaching and learning should be around 120 lah, sebab 40% of this one. Nampak tak dia punya teaching and learning punya agak banyak. Alright, so when you do this, kena make sure that this is a 4 credits course. Sometimes sometimes lecturer when they do this, the content, course content, outline and subtopics, they are too general. Okay, too general. Jadi bila dia buat too general, maka agak sukar untuk dia nak buat untuk describe ataupun untuk letak dia punya komponen lah dalam this particular boxes. Okay, that's why bila sampai, tapi bila you tengok dia sampai 130 banyak pula kan. However, try to limit lah. Okay, because sometimes when I audit, because I don't know the content, the content actually will be looked by the expert in this area. Contohnya apabila audit ODL, saya akan wakil untuk ODL semata-mata, but there will be another panel that is the content expert. They will be looking at the specific content macam ni lah, dia akan tengok sesuai ke tidak. Okay, adakah for example yang ini sebab this particular document is for short semester, jadi memang dia buat for 7-8 weeks lah begitu. Tapi kalau you are looking at the normal 14 weeks punya course, you might want to put 14 weeks punya topics lah. Okay, tapi yang ni memang dia punya ni dia buat dalam short semester, so it has like 7 only. Tapi kalau boleh detail out what you are going to put here. Alright. And then the CLO. So yang ini, the first 2 topics is, I think it is easier to understand lah kan. So, but they have this case study analysis which is actually cover all the CLO. However, apa yang saya nak highlightkan adalah, kita pergi naik atas balik. Alright. So when you write this CLO 1, 2, 3, okay, remember the cognitive, the affective and a psychomotor domain just now that I mentioned. If you don't have final exam, mungkin you have less CLO yang merujuk kepada kognitif. Okay, even the CLO bila dia you align with the assessment. Okay, assessment dia ada kat sini, bawah sini. Alright. The assessment is first assignment presentation, second assignment presentation, they have report writing. Okay, nampak tak it is not that tepat apa yang dia buat berbanding dengan dia punya CLO. Dia ada CLO 1, CLO 2, yang ni adalah study analysis. Okay. So the constructive alignment is very important. Okay, you tak boleh just letak tajuk you nak buat case study analysis, refer to CLO 1 to 3, tetapi when it comes to your continuous assessment, kenapa pula ada first assignment presentation, kenapa pula ada second assignment presentation, all the continuous assessment presentation 40%, presentation lagi satu 30%. You nampak tak there's no alignment dengan whatever they did in the topic as well as dia punya CLO1, CLO2, CLO3. So semua ini perlu di-evaluate dengan betul. Okay, correctly. Meaning that if you say that the critique and evaluate various distribution channels, so the CLO1, how are we going to make the student critique and evaluate to achieve the learning outcome? So the here, under here, tadi, this one should be much more precise, okay, on what they are going to do to achieve the CLO1, critique and evaluate. So with that, mungkin you are going to give them case study lah. Okay, case study lah. Jadi kat sini mungkin dia akan jadi case, okay, case study. Alright, di sini. So mungkin it is not first assignment presentation, but the name of this continuous assessment will be case study. Alright, so it is 40%. Then if you have case study analysis, for example, okay, case study, and then you will have 40%. Kemudian you have online or technology mediated, mungkin waktu nak present the case study and so on. Alright, it is 3 hours tapi macam banyak. Tak tahulah, it depends macam mana dia nak kendalikan. Yang itu saya tak komen banyak sangat lah tentang how many hours, tapi kalau we have, the auditor have queries about kenapa dia ni 3 jam for the online technology mediated, mungkin pensyarah akan diinterview lah, ditanya kenapa this is 3 jam, 3 hours, please give justification. Okay, yang saya nak highlight satu perkara adalah, okay, for example just now the online technology mediated is 3 hours, dia punya non face to face learning is 12 hours. Okay, kalau kita ikut formula di sini, remember my formula just now? This one. Okay, jadi kita kena pergi di sini. Alright, so it is 40%. Saya tak jumpa my, hilang pula mungkin sebab dokumen ini. So you actually need to actually use the formula di sini. Dah tak boleh pula. Alright, so you need to use this formula. Saya akan guna the lagi satu aku. Alright. Okay, for example, you have continuous assessment, case study. Okay, and then it is 40%. And then you will have 2 hours of 2 hours of face-to-face, for example, online face-to-face. And then to calculate, you are going to put the formula, which is this one. Okay, sama dengan equal to tak mau keluar pula. Alright, just put the pengiraan dekat situ. Alright, so that okay, dia baru nak muncul. equal dalam kurungan 120 ya for 3 credits. Tolak. Sorry. So you just follow this particular formula. Tak nampak pula, dia tak keluar. Okay, you just put the formula lah, equal to whatever, and then masuk dalam tu, masuk the 40%, 40 out of 420, lepas tu you akan kira macam ni, and then you should be able to get the answer. This one, non-face to face, and actually this is the correct jawapan lah. Dan sebenarnya as an auditor saya tak adalah kira sangat macam tu as detail as that, tetapi kalau let's say I jumpa yang macam ni kan, dia ada undo, if let's say they provide us with continuous assessment, it is 40%, and then they got these 3 hours and then sini 12 hours, meaning that it is the non face-to-face preparation is not maksudnya terlalu sedikit lah untuk the 3 hours of face-to-face online meeting. Okay, jadi the preparation, for example, report writing, for example, 3 hours, okay, and then 30%, and then dia dapat non-face-to-face 6 hours only. Alright, you tengok ya, dan sini 6 hours only juga, tapi dia ada online punya perjumpaan, dan should be okay lah. Tetapi yang ni 30% only 6 hours of independent learning. Nampak tak ketidak apa orang kata, sama rata. This one 30% they have non-face-to-face 6 hours. Okay, tapi juga ada lebih kurang 9 jam for the second assignment presentation, which consists of 30%. Tetapi the report writing 30% juga markah dia, tetapi non-face-to-face dia 6 hours only. It should be like 9 hours. So the apa orang kata, pemberatan, the weightage of this particular continuous assessment need to actually be looked at by the lecturer. Okay, maksudnya that when we count the total of SLT for continuous assessment, it is only 18. Okay, sangat kurang. Okay, and then this course hasn't got any final assessment. Jadi hanya 18 hours for a total for assessment of a 4 credit course memang tidak cukup. Okay, jadi that's why I provided this calculation, so that you takkan terlebih, you takkan terkurang lah. Nanti saya akan share this particular slide so that you can use it. Tapi kadang-kadang you akan dapat number, bukan nombor bulat lah, but it is okay, meaning that you can adjust the hours. Okay, agak-agak lebih kurang. Tak adalah you akan lari sangat based on this one. Jadi kalau 18 hours for a 4 credit course, it is not enough for total continuous assessment. Adalah pengiraan yang tidak sesuai di sini. For example lah, okay, jadi and for this should be actually, for example ya, takkanlah you buat, you are doing ODL course, you are going to actually do lectures for 4 hours for this particular topic. Okay, it is non-logical. So what you can do is, okay, usually what I would like to advise for lecturers, if you have like lectures, you have allocate time for teaching and learning. Okay, you might want to put lecture 2 hours, but because you are not sure, okay, how you are going to conduct the class, so okay, for example, if let's say, lari pula dia. Sorry. Okay, you can put like 2 hours of lecture or only 1 hour of lecture because you are going to do ODL. You are much more you are going to do more asynchronous rather than doing synchronous. Okay, so you might not have lecture so much. So if you want to put more component, you put others. Kenapa dia? Dia kalau dah petang ni macam ni lah. Alright. So meaning that if let's say in ODL don't put 4-hour lecture, okay, you are not going to put 4-hour lecture because you are going to do it using SIM. So you are not going to do synchronous face-to-face meeting with your student regularly. So as I mentioned earlier, lebih kurang 5 times per semester should be okay lah untuk buat synchronous because considering your students are maybe working. So what you should do is put the other synchronous might be much better rather than putting as lecture. So maybe this one will be 1 and then this one will be 3 hours, for example. If you would like to put like that, much better. Mungkin you tak payah pun buat this lecture, but you put others for 4. So this will include, for example, if you chat with your students, okay, or you chat in Telegram with your student, you use Telegram, you have a Telegram group for your student, and then you are discussing using Telegram. It is other synchronous learning methods. It is not a lecture. So try to avoid filling in the lecture part as much. Mungkin kalau you nak buat, you buat okay ada 1 hour sini or okay 1 hour sini, 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is 1 hour. This is 1 hour. That should be enough. And then other ones you just put maybe 2 hours here, 2 hours here, 3 hours here. Okay, choose others so that you will be much more flexible in terms of delivering your course. Okay, jadi tak adalah nanti bila auditor datang nak tengok, dia kata okay, where is your lecture? Lepas tu you tak ada lecture disebabkan oleh you do asynchronous using your SIP. So this is how we actually put it in ODL, okay? Compare to kalau kita buat conventional punya course, mungkinlah you nak letak 2 hours for lecture. And then mungkin you ada tutorial, but in ODL we might have less tutorial, but we have more others discussion. We have actually whatever lah you want to do in your classroom. So putting others will make you much safer lah kan, sebab you boleh select other types of teaching methods. Okay.
Dr. Azidah.
Yes, saya.
I have a question. Saya ni memang budak yang sangat-sangat baru belajar, Dr. Azidah. So
okay,
if it
no
sounds,
problem.
Dia macam tahap alik bata lah orang kata. It's just that sebab kita dah biasa buat conventional, so moving into ODL, you know, all this concern. Ni Dr. Azidah kata kita kena kurangkan lecture sebab obviously is going to be ODL. So bila kita push benda tu ke others, it makes sense lah sebab kita masih lagi in touch with student. Tapi macam Dr. Azidah bagi contoh tadi, kita chat, forum dan sebagainya. My concern is apa yang kita letak untuk disubmit kepada MQA, sebaik-baiknya itulah yang kita akan buat. Okay?
Betul.
When it comes to providing evidence, how do we support that? Sebab kalau conventional, kalau kita kata lecture 3 jam, kita boleh provide yang lecture kita 3 jam. So this these forums and chats, will that be a problem later on?
No, it won't be a problem. Satu. Okay, sebab you are doing it in your e-learning platform or whatever ODL platform that you are using. Remember earlier this morning I said that kita ada learning analytics kan dalam e-learning platform. Jadi katalah the auditor would like to know the student activity and so on, whether the student has completed whatever task that you are giving to them.
Okay.
So kita boleh tengok lah, kita katalah nak tengok
masih ada benda tu somewhere lah evidence tu.
Yes. Jadi
cuma kalau yang WhatsApp chat ni bahaya sikit lah sebab kita scroll kita delete.
Sometimes you can actually simpan the bukti and so on lah. Selalunya kita tak adalah nak tengok all the conversation, auditor pun tak ada.
Asal ada lah. Jangan benda tu tak ada langsung lah maksudnya.
Jangan tak ada langsung. So that bila auditor tanya others ni macam mana sebenarnya you buat. Okay, you just cakap lah we are using Telegram so that you know it is much more flexible bila student nak communicate and so on. It is synchronous and then tak ada masalah pun. So the bukti
itulah
mungkin
Dr. Azidah saya nak tanya pun saya segan juga sebab
jangan
main kat
segan
sini otai-otai kan. So saya ni memang overthinking sikit nak make sure kita buat benda tu betul so that kita tak nak deliberately buat benda yang unacceptable. Bila MQA tengok tu macam kita dah go through this course tapi kita buat juga benda tu. Itu yang saya tak nak.
Sebenarnya kalau you all buat lecture tu yang salah. Sebab we know that this is ODL. Kita nak bagi flexibility to the student.
Correct.
Jadi if you set timetable every week at the same time pukul 9 pagi sampai 11, takkanlah every week you nak tukar the timetable kan? Mestilah you ada certain timetable yang you dah arrange, your faculty has arranged.
Memang fishy lah benda tu.
Jadi kan, jadi lebih baik you declare it is others so that kalau you letak tak ada kosong ni, memang tak ada all this ni pun tak berdosa sebenarnya for ODL. Sebab kita memang bagi the flexibility. Tujuan ODL ini adalah nak bagi flexibility for learners. Okay, jadi kalau semua you letak others, meaning that kalau waktu implementation sebenarnya you buat lecture, you jumpa your students, you ada timetable, mungkin 5 kali satu semester, you jumpa, then you buat others tu as lecture pun tak ada masalah. Okay, daripada you claim 4 hours ini, you claim 4 hours ini semua-semua, then sebenarnya you tak jumpa for them for 4 hours, masalah sebab student tak dapat hadir kelas. Kan?
Kita play safe lah maksudnya benda tu ada buffer kat situ lah.
Yes, ataupun kalau you tak nak sangat nampak sangat obvious, tak ada langsung perjumpaan kosong-kosong kan. So yes, limit to 5 mungkin yang di 1 hours, yang di 1 hours kan. Lepas tu ni tak ada. Dan jumpa lagi 2 minggu macam tu lah. So it is much more easier untuk you. Sebenarnya sebab kita juga nak bagi flexibility to the lecturers. Kita tak nak lecturers tu macam yelah having to kejar all the students. Yang ODL ni memang sangat susah nak kejar. Sometimes because they are working kan. Jadi untuk jaga juga the lecturers, then we do give them some flexibility in terms of arranging the class time. Okay, begitu. Alright. So jangan risau tentang.
Thanks Dr. Azidah.
Yeah. Alright. Okay. No problem. You Haida, ada nak tanya soalan, sila on your mic.
Doktor nak tanya. Doktor scroll up
atas ya?
Yang tadi tu. Sebab saya ternampak yang bukan bawah-bawah lagi. Yang just now yang ni. Doktor turunkan sikit nak tengok tajuk dia. Kat sebelah physical, right? So yang ini online. So what does it mean? Sorry, I have to ask this question. Online technology mediated LTP. Is it lecture meaning they learn by themselves?
Lecture adalah L, T adalah tutorial, P adalah practical, O adalah others.
But this is meant for lecture ni, meaning that we give them notes they learn by themselves lah. Right.
Bukan. Lecture is lecture, meaning that you have a Webex session for example dengan your student. Okay, katalah you ada Webex session with your ODS student for 1 hour. Jadi you letaklah kat sini 1 hour. Alright. if let's say you want them to do some practical and they demo to you while using WebEx for example, then you put 1 here for 1 hour dia kena demo. So ataupun you are going to demo to them and they are going to hands on at home ke kat mana-mana lah, then you can put practical 1 hour. Or you have tutorial, for example you use Jamboard for example kan, Jamboard yang under Google tu. So you akan demo, okay, untuk calculate this mathematics, so how about we do tutorial 1 hour. Jadi you akan demo menggunakan maybe your iPad ke atau whatever. So it is tutorial, you tak bagi lecture tapi you buat tutorial macam kat kelas lah kan. Dan tutorial you bagi latihan and so on. So if you have tutorial, you put 1 tutorial here.
So this means that kalau conventional method right now, and this is talking about other side conventional method, so they even they have done the physical part, which is not because nowadays now kan kita ada pandemic kan, so that when the lecturers key in the physical, but because of the COVID-19 and the physical part, so the evidence which shows that they are supposed to have an online one lah, because the table 4 did not reflect the actual thing lah for conventional method.
Okay, so yang kalau kita nak berkata tentang apa yang terjadi sekarang, so table 4 tidak MQA agak fleksibel lah untuk waktu-waktu COVID ni. Jadi maksudnya we don't have to change our table 4 kalau for conventional lah, sebab yang ini adalah keadaan yang khas di mana kita terpaksa buat. Alright, although kita tak, jadi maksudnya kita tak perlulah pula tukar kita punya table for our conventional to change to here.
So meaning ODL ni suggested to key in the online and technology punya column lah instead of physical, right?
Yeah, physical ini maksudnya you are berjumpa dengan the students face to face.
But it can happen also, right? It can happen also.
Can happen, yes, can happen kalau
ODL.
SLT boleh. Sebab for example if you have 80%, dah cukup dah 80%, ingat remember 80% SLT online tapi ada 20% lagi. So katalah you rasa memang perlu nak jumpa your student for 1 week for example kan, yang ni semua ODL, you buat jumpa WebEx semua-semua, at the end waktu case study you rasa nak buat satu practical session online for 3 hours. Can? Boleh.
Meaning that menjawab soalan ni, the evidence, we can show the evidence lah, even we are not really following the, but we cannot make a lot of changes lah instead, but due to some reason lah kan.
Maksudnya memang kalau untuk course ni memang you every semester you think that you know you will be meeting your student at the 7th week sebab adalah keperluan praktikal and so on kan, you letak. Jadi kalau ada keperluan. Understand. Alright.
Thank you, Doktor.
Okay.
Sudah?
Ya, saya.
Boleh saya tanya?
Boleh, tak ada masalah.
Saya ambil contoh yang nombor 5 tu.
Okay, ni.
Brand communication. And then letak kat others 3, maksudnya 3 jam kita buat lah.
Okay, yes.
And then independent learning ni maksudnya student preparation untuk 3 jam ni kan, Doktor?
Tak, bukan.
Dia campur
yang preparation tadi only for assessment.
Okay.
Okay, yang preparation tadi ni, non face to face ni hanya untuk assessment saja. Katalah final assessment dia, yang ni final exam. Okay. Okay, exam ada katalah nak buat physical ya, kata physical 2 jam. Okay, then dia punya non face to face persediaan dia 8 jam. Okay, cukuplah tu. Jadi nanti dia akan terus naik kat sini 10 jam lah. Okay, tetapi this is only for assessment sahaja. Okay, tapi kalau kata for this brand assessment, 20 jam ini atau semualah untuk semua all topics ini, 20 jam ini adalah asynchronous learning yang mana ianya akan merangkumi self-instructional material yang kita akan buat esok. Maksudnya kita prepare dah bahan, student akan tak perlulah jumpa kita, they are going to use the self-instructional material to learn about this particular topic. Okay, jumpa 3 jam ada sajalah, kod-kod ada dia within the 20 hours dia belajar dari the sim, and then dia ada tak ketidakfahaman, they don't understand something, and then we are going to meet whatever lah kalau nak jumpa dan discuss. That's why others is much more appropriate, sebab kita tak tahu sama ada bila dia tak faham tu kita nak buat apa. Alright, much better we just put it as others. Mungkin kita tak buat lecture tapi kita buat discussion, online discussion using Webex or peer discussion ke whatever lah. Jadi it includes in the others, begitu.
Okay, terima kasih.
Kan? Alright. Okay, so yeah, we are now 4 o'clock. So I think that I have covered. Kalau ada soalan yang tak clear, meaning that the kotak-kotak ni actually akan calculate by itself lah. Bila you masuk, katalah you masuk sini 5 jam, automatically yang kat sini akan naik ya, jadi 140. Sama lah kalau you put your this one to have 10 hours, and then kat bawah ni dia akan updated lah, dan akhirnya akan muncullah yang hijau-hijau ini the credit value and so on. Alright, so jadi dia akan automatic juga. Make sure that your references are updated lah, not out of date, meaning that updated recent references. Selalunya kita semak juga. Okay, jap saya check. Oh, nak email address saya boleh, tak ada masalah. Azidah@usm.my. Azidah@usm.my. Ada dah saya letak dekat chat box tersebut. Okay, saya rasa okey dah kot tentang table 4. Saya harap it is actually, walaupun the sampel yang saya tunjukkan ini bukanlah sampel yang bagus lah, maksudnya memang banyak silap dalam ni, tapi I hope that you actually will be able to put your title, your course content. Okay, kalau ada 14 minggu, hopefully you have all the topics for 14 weeks, and then you have actually put the appropriate hours for your online technology. Why I'm focusing on online technology mediated synchronous? Because we are doing online ODL, okay, and then we actually kalau you tengok di sini ada banyaknya, okay, sebab course yang saya share ni pun also adalah course ODL, jadi we tend to put mostly what the teaching and learning for students asynchronously, sebab kita tak sarankan buat banyak sangat virtual face to face untuk mengelakkan student tak ada masa nak hadir kelas dan sebagainya. Remember, ODL is providing flexibility for our students in terms of time, in terms of place, in terms of everything, the way we deliver the content. That's why for the synchronous ada less hours compared to asynchronous. Okay. Alright, so last question if you have any.
Doktor, untuk menyiapkan table 4 ni, boleh tak sekiranya saya saya design dulu course outline daripada course, maksud saya course outline yang terkini, format dia lah MQA-01 kalau tak silap. Okay. And then dari sana dan saya transfer saja ke dalam table 4. So maksudnya sebelum pergi ke table 4 ni kita fokus kepada course outline dulu. Boleh tak macam tu?
Much better sebenarnya. It will be much more easier for you to actually do the table 4. Bila you dah ada outline dan sebagainya lah, boleh.
Okay,
tak ada masalah. Alright, so is it possible to have 0 lectures altogether? Yes, it is possible, but you need to meet your students jugalah. Tak adalah you buat semua asynchronously kan. Jadi that's why I advise you to put others, meaning that mungkin you nak ada session, perjumpaan, discussion with your students synchronously. You are not, when you meet your students, you not necessarily give lectures kan. You might have discussion with, okay, for example, you say, okay, next week you are going to have a synchronous discussion at 9 PM. For example lah kan. So it considered as others because the discussion is not a lecture, because if let's say you meet your students for 1 hour, then you just would like them to actually throw in ideas, you know, you are not going to open your slide, whatever lah kan, mungkin you akan bincang satu case study and so on. It is not a lecture. Lecture is a lecture whereby you speak. Kan, selalunya lecture is you take your time, you are going to give lectures to them. So if let's say you have 0 lectures, it should be okay. We are doing ODL, so you might not have any lectures but you have others. Janganlah tak ada langsung. The synchronous, yang itu memang berdosa lah, tak ada, kesian kat your students, you know, they are not meeting their lecturers, but you can put it as others so that, you know, you are giving, you are letting us know that you are still having synchronous meeting with your student, but it is not a lecture, but it much more about discussion. You are going to clarify something and so on. Remember, tomorrow we are going to do self-instructional material whereby we are going to produce video. For example, the video is actually considered as lecture. So the lecture can be done asynchronously using video. You dah terangkan kepada student, you have actually convey whatever you would like to deliver using video, but it is asynchronously. The lecture here is synchronous lecture whereby you want your students to listen to you for 1 hour. If you put 1 hour here, then meaning that you are going to give lectures for 1 hour. Begitu. Alright. So no worries if you don't want to put any lectures because your lecture is actually consists asynchronous teaching and learning using your C. Okay. So I hope that you are clear with that. Okay, so Dr. Sharon.
Ada soalan lagi, Dr. Azidah, from Dr. Sharon.
Dr. Sharon said since we are going to prepare a very comprehensive module, yes, because you are going to prepare a very comprehensive module, you are preparing a video presentation, for example, so that the lecture become not compulsory, but the compulsory things is you need to meet jugalah your student for, you know, a few hours and so on, so that, you know, you don't meet them only through asynchronous, tak jumpa pun. Okay, we need jugalah ada interaction, face-to-face interaction virtually with your student, but not necessarily it is a lecture. Definition of lecture is you give lecture like you give lecture in the lecture hall. So no need to put lecture, you put others, it will be easier so that it is going to be much more flexible for you to arrange what you are going to do with the students. Okay? Alright, I think that's it. Thank you very much. Tak ada dah soalan kot. Alright. So thank you Dr. Mazlina.
Any question kalau masih ada? Kalau ingin nak bertanya, any question from participants?
Saya rasa lah Dr. Mazlina, kita kena buat dulu homework. Dr. Azidah bagi kita banyak sangat ilmu hari ni kan.
Right, it's correct.
So sebab she's been kind to give us her email address. I think the last time she bagi ni workshop pun dia bagi juga kan. And she did reply. Actually Dr. Azidah ni bagus. Dia bagi email, kita cari dia mesti jawab. Testimoni saya bagi. So I think for now, because it's been a long day for Dr. Azidah jugalah, sebab benda yang kita bincang ni pun heavy sebenarnya kan. So insyaAllah besok jumpa lagi kan.
InsyaAllah.
So bagi break daripada tengok muka-muka kita ni kejap. Besok we will have more. So, tomorrow we'll actually have people who are going to prepare the module. So it'll be even better. Yes. Because then I hope like yang datang macam hari ni, Sharon and all that, they are involved in both. So hopefully we will have some really good questions. Sebab sekarang ni baru nampak sama-sama sikit. Tapi when we play with it and all that, insyaAllah besok lah saya rasa kita akan dapat lebih banyak soalan kot. On behalf of ODL CMBA, I boleh cakap yang tu je lah. Tapi I know this thing is open to our colleagues from elsewhere kan. So maybe they want to ni, tak tahulah. Tapi untuk UNIMAS level, I rasa hari ni memang banyak I belajar. Sepanjang-panjang I buat MQA, barulah nampak. Terima kasih Dr. Azidah.
Sama-sama.
Semoga murah rezeki. You've been very generous with your sharing.
Thank you, Dr. Shafina. Thank you very much to Dr. Azidah for the impactful and tremendous sharing for today's session. So don't forget, tomorrow we will have another session for self-instructional material, SIM. So from 9 until 12 o'clock for tomorrow. So don't forget our appointment tomorrow. So I think that's all for today. Thank you very much for your participation for today, and stay safe, stay at home. See you tomorrow. So
InsyaAllah.
Assalamualaikum
Terima kasih, Dr.
warahmatullahi
Azidah.
wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Sama-sama.
Salam.
Thank you. Thank you.